Hey everyone, welcome to Liberty Silver, a weekly vlog where we talk silver and we melt silver. This week I'll be melting down a 5-ounce silver town bar using this handy little tabletop furnace. I carved this piece of wood to be sand casted into a series of silver anvil art bars using 999 fine silver. If you're interested in getting one for yourself, I have my eBay page linked in the description below. Now let's get started. If you enjoy this video, like and subscribe. Also, comment below on any cool things you would like to see made, as well as any topics you'd like me to cover. I start off by sifting my Petrobond sand and making a fine powder for smooth casting. I tamp it down as I build up the layers to pack it in nice and tight, and then I scrape off the excess sand off the top of the mold. I then get my wood carving and line it up right where I want it in the mold, push it down exactly halfway, and then spread baby powder around it so that the mold doesn't stick whenever I pull it back apart. The other half of the mold has to line up exactly the same throughout the project, so I use wood blocks on the corners to make sure that it always lines up exactly the same spot. I then fill up the other half of the mold with the rest of my sand, packing it in nice and tight just like I did with the first half. The object is trapped in the middle though, so I'm going to have to be able to pull it apart and take it out and put it back together without disturbing the sand. I'm also scraping away the excess sand just as I did with the other side. And now is the crucial part of the process where I have to separate the mold into two halves while disturbing the sand as little as possible so I can pull out the wood carving in the middle. I'm carving away a pour channel so whenever I pour my silver, it has a nice funnel for it to guide right into the cavity. I have to pack down any loose sand so that it doesn't fall down into the cavity and leave surface marks on the finished product. Again, I have to be very careful while pulling out the wood carving so I don't disturb the sand and knock anything down into the cavity. Now that I have that out, I can carve a channel just like I did with the other half so I can have a symmetrical hole for the silver to pour down into. I also have vent holes for the air to displace while I'm pouring in the silver. And now for the final time, the mold goes back together using the wood blocks I talked about earlier to make sure that it goes back exactly in the same position as it was in the beginning so that whenever I pour the silver, it will be an exact replica of the wood carving. The hole in the side of the mold lines up with the funnel I carved in the sand, and that's where I'll be pouring my silver. Now it's time to turn on my furnace and bring it up to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. I then drop in my silver bar and wait for it to get up to temperature. Let's take a look at how we're doing here. It's still not quite melted, so we'll leave it in for a little bit longer. Now that our silver bar is fully melted, I'm going to carefully pull it out with these tongs. It's burning red hot, and I have to be very careful while pouring it in the side of the mold, making sure I don't drip anything onto the bench. After I pour it all in, I have to let it sit and cool for a minute in order for the silver to solidify. After a few minutes, I can separate my mold and see how the pour turned out. The silver anvil is still burning hot, and I can't touch it with my hands, so I have to grab it with the pliers and take it over to the water to dunk it. Everything looked to have turned out alright. I give it a nice bath and rub off any of the excess burnt sand. And now, because of the pour, it ends up with this stem stuck on the bottom, and I have to cut it off, but I'll be able to save that for other pours in the future. Still a little rough now, but I sand the bottom flat so it'll sit nice on the table and buff it a little bit with a wire wheel. I have these metal punches with each letter of the alphabet so I can stamp my logo as well as the purity on the other side. I'll set my scale to troy ounces and place it on there for a measurement, and we end up with 3.3 troy ounces, and I'll stamp that in on the top. And there you have it, folks, a silver anvil cast from a Silvertown bar, and man does it look cool. That's all for this week. You can visit my eBay page, Liberty Silver 88, by clicking on the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what you'd like to see in future episodes. And until next time, keep on stacking.